See, the problem with us humans is that we're clumsy, me included. And you couple that with the fact that we move around a lot, and it's a recipe for disaster. But you can prevent things from happening to your minis, for example, if you're going to a friend's house. I don't care if it's 5 minutes away, please protect your minis. Tip number one, right? Protect your minis. And look, I'm not really worried. I did the responsible thing. I stuffed it. Now, you don't want to overstuff, right? But look, the little noise marine that could. You may be like going to a friend's house and painting together, or just showing off your prized mini. Something, right? I want you to protect it. He's not done, but he is not damaged. Even the notorious swords that could easily snap, bend, right? Break. Nothing happened. If you're transporting 1 or 2 minis, something like this would be fine. Just make sure not to overstuff it, but stuff it enough so that the paper towel absorbs the shock, or they don't bounce around, right? In case it doesn't really get dropped, right? They'll still bounce around in transit. But for bigger things, you'd want to get something like this. This is the Warhammer travel case, but it doesn't have to be Warhammer specific. Just a case that's big enough with a lot of padding. In the golden age of online deliveries, right? I'm sure you have just a plethora of boxes there. Empty boxes in your place that you can use to store. Use them. Stuff them with paper towel if you don't have any padding. And that's it. You're done. And make sure you don't use any glass. Preferably plastic. Acrylic, and such are pretty good. So, for tip number 2, what I have here is a leftover sprue from the noise marine you saw, right? One of many. And I'm like, well, there's nothing really to be done here. They're just spare parts and other options that you can use on your marine. But this is tip number 2. Always have some sort of bits box. And what I mean by that is you don't want to just have sprues like this lying about, right? They're not organized. They occupy quite a bit of space, actually. And they're just annoying to look at. Plus, the sprues are actually quite nice. We'll get to that in a bit. But for now, we'll focus on the bits right there. Right there. The sonic weaponry of the noise marines. That's why they're called noise marines. They kill you with sonic weapons. Anyway, what we're going to do is just start snipping them off. And I'll show you what I mean by a bits box. And it doesn't have to be a box, by the way. All right, so the sprues are completely empty. And we're going to set that aside. We have a container right here, and you just put it in this container. Now, it could be any container, right? It could be just a kind of compact drawer. It could be, again, a container like this. It could even be the old box that it came with. It doesn't matter. You don't want sprues like this lying about. They occupy too much space. And because of that, we will simplify our storage method, which allows us to free up more space. And more space equals less clutter. Right? When you're doing this, make sure that you have adult supervision if you are a child. Knives are dangerous. It's not straight, but you get the point. There we go. Noise marine bits properly labeled, because the bits can get confusing. And this could be an AIM 9 Sidewinder Tupperware. It could be, a log drawer, sandbags, jerry cans, right? It doesn't have to be for Warhammer. I'm just a Warhammer fanboy. For tip number 3, it's more of a personal thing, but I'm sure some people can relate. I've been kind of discouraged recently, mostly because I've been seeing a lot of the paint jobs people have been doing for the Emperor's Children. And instead of just having an inspiration, right, I often compare myself and my skills to theirs. And these paint jobs, right, are incredible. And, the brain is like, well, how am I supposed to live with that, right?
But I feel like we need to embrace our capabilities. These people didn't get here by mistake. This took practice. Months, right? Weeks, months, right? Maybe even years. They've been doing this for a while, right? But at a certain point, the beginner becomes an expert. And that's what I was getting at. Don't let jealousy cloud your judgment. The chase for perfection can be healthy, but it may also lead to obsession. And because of that, tip number 3, don't obsess. It will lead to burnout. Something about being jealous and obsessive about a particular paint job and you not being able to attain those paint jobs at your current skill level will definitely crush your spirit and put you in some sort of mental blender. And you don't want that. Please, it's great to have some sort of inspiration, but it is not healthy to often compare yourself to what are obviously, at the very least, your artistic superiors. Be inspired, right? Not obsessive. Don't be jealous. You will get there, right? I feel like I'm talking to myself here, but that's kind of the point. So, tip number 4, experiment. But you can't really experiment without a test subject, right? So, if you threw out your sprues, please fish them out of the trash. I told you to keep them. Don't throw them out. And what we're going to do is, whenever you go to a hobby store, right, and you grab a paint that you haven't used before, and you're not sure if it's compatible, right, and you wanna make sure that it looks well, at least from a paint scheme sort of way. Please experiment with your sprues or a kit you don't care for. Something cheap, something that you know you have a dime a dozen of or something. And, it's better than applying it onto your Mini directly, at least initially, right? Because if you mess up on a sprue, who cares? It's a sprue, right? So that's one of the uses for a sprue that's just lying about, waiting to be thrown out, right? Please keep them, at least some of them, and use them for experimentation purposes. Here I'm going to prime just a section just so we can paint it some type of way further on. By doing it like this, it prevents us from becoming frustrated, or we find out just a little bit more tips and tricks regarding painting, right? Or you follow a YouTuber and you're not sure about the tips and tricks they're talking about, or you're talking to that one guy in your local hobby shop who wears glasses, is always so sure about himself. Filipino, that guy in Mississauga, right? Yeah, you talk to him, you're sure about his tips, or you're not sure and you want to test it out. Well, yeah, go ahead. But I would suggest using a sprue, right? Something like this, or an Airfix kit or something that's like $10. One of those like mini soldiers, right? Did you guys notice yet? You guys haven't noticed. Okay. I painted this guy with this. And yet, earlier in the video when I was applying it to this, I grabbed this. Meaning that my paint scheme would have been wrong from the start. This is a very common problem. A lot more of us commit this than we care to admit. Paints look similar, we don't take notes, we don't remember, we misremember. So this is why this is important. Before I apply the color scheme changing Sigvald Burgundy, thinning it into a wash of some sort, and ruined my paint job, instead I applied it here and realized it. Now obviously this is a scripted video, I knew this coming in from the start, but this can happen to anyone. A misplaced paint here or there. Misjudging the proper thinning amount, the ratios, right? This is important. You need to have some sort of thing to experiment on. And even here, without the noise marine, you could be like, well, I applied it a little too dark, right? So thinning it would have been the next logical response. And of course, the final tip,
always have fun. Now I'm a little, it's cheating a little bit. This is the last point I did on my previous tips video. But honestly, it's so relevant, especially to the burnout part and the experimentation part. It's good to be inspired, but the moment you chase perfection, that's when you start losing grip on reality, which you can't really achieve perfection. There will always be a blemish. It may be perfect to you, but to someone else, it's not. But that's actually the most important part. Not to chase perfection, but also not to be jealous. Because that part right there will keep you from having fun, causing you to waste money and drop the hobby, or at the very least, burnout. So please, guys, have fun, enjoy yourselves in this hobby, because that's what it's meant to do. Anyway, that's it for me today. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, click the bell notification and the icon, follow us on our socials, and that's it for me. Bye-bye.